MSNBC political analyst, also with us, Jonathan Gruber, professor of economics at MIT. He is one of the primary architects of the Affordable Care Act. And Howard Dean, Donald Trump didn't mention that earlier in the year, Sprint had cut 2,500 jobs, and so these 5,000 that were already announced, and Sprint confirmed tonight that there's nothing new in what Donald Trump was announcing today as his major economic announcement. And if you really want to do some, math that includes the net effect of Donald Trump in the jobs world, you'd have to begin by the thousands of jobs that were lost.
You might be allergic to that computer or that tablet.
But Howard Dean, here was the announcement. There's going to be a big speech today about jobs in the economy. That's what it turned out to be. We're still waiting for a huge speech by Donald Trump about the economy.
Well, there isn't going to be one. We're going to have to get used to this way of operating. He sort of says whatever comes into his head. He does take credit for other people's work. Look, this economy has done so much better because of Barack Obama. In the last 8 years, there have been millions of jobs added. The unemployment rate has dropped dramatically. Wall Street is at a new high. None of that has anything to do with Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump may get in and do all kinds of wonderful things, and I hope he does, that are good for the economy. So far, he's put in a whole bunch of people who screwed the very people who voted for Donald Trump. And so we'll see what happens. But sooner or later, this is the biggest job in the world. Sooner or later, what you do matters much more than what you say. And so he can say anything he wants to until January 20th. Then what he says really matters. And I don't think so far there's any indication it's going to match up with what he's done, which is nothing.
But he does seem to have figured out the minds of headline writers. He got some pretty good headlines today as a result of that little stunt. Reuters' headline was, Trump says Sprint to bring 5,000 jobs back to U.S. LA Times had a headline up saying Trump touts plan by Sprint and OneWeb to create 8,000 U.S. jobs. And Jonathan Gruber, this is politics by headline.
Look, the U.S. economy in a typical month both creates and destroys hundreds of thousands of jobs. And this kind of argument is exactly the argument by anecdote that Trump has mastered and that the press has bought into. We should be having these political debates over facts, over aggregate facts, jobs created, jobs lost, wages increasing, the enormous success that President Obama has created more jobs than any president in recent history, many more than Ronald Reagan, for example. That's the kind of fact we need to focus on, not the kind of anecdotes that Donald Trump uses over and over again to both promote his ideas and to attack constructive ideas on the other side.
And Howard Dean, the Trump plan, as we know it for the economy so far, the one thing that we are pretty clear on is a giant tax cut. And that may be the only thing you can bet on actually happening, because that's something that Republicans wanted to do before Donald Trump became a candidate for president. So the massive tax cut seems to be the one thing that we will see next year.
First of all, Donald Trump actually said that Mike Pence was going to run a lot of the foreign and domestic affairs. And judging by the cabinet officials and how right-wing they are, Mike Pence has had an outsized influence on all this. So it's most likely that what we're going to see is a rehash of the far-right tax cut proposals that we've seen in the past. The problem is Donald Trump was put in office by a lot of people who were struggling economically and wanted to change. With the change he's promising them is to give the billionaires of this country, like himself, a bigger tax cut and screw the working people by privatizing Social Security and Medicare. That's what is in Paul Ryan's plan. That's the plan the Republicans are looking at passing the House. So, whether we should save them from themselves or not is a matter to be debated. But the Trump tax plan is, first of all, absolutely worthless until we see what's actually in the legislature. And what we've seen,
I'm ready to get up in a minute, okay, and smoke.
Donald Trump does
Okay.
not until it gets to his desk.
Tomorrow's a video, Mickey.
Not anything that's going to help middle-class
Look at the video.
Americans in this country at all.
What is that?